So he manually put it in, and he was able to find and place them on a location that was suitable and safe for them. The pair landed at 2:56 UTC on January 21st, 1969. The famous quote was then said, "This is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." This was, of course, captured on TV, along with a multitude of pictures taken. This was man landing on the moon. Now you may be wondering why this is so short. Well, it's not quite over yet. With all of this unbelievable news, there are still many people who do not believe man landed on the moon. Of course, it is unbelievable at some parts. Well, at least at the time. Let us take a bit closer look at all of this. The first of these conspiracies have to do with the flag seeming to flutter and wave in a breeze. And as we all know, there are no real air currents on the moon like there would be on Earth. This, of course, can be easily proven, like all of these other theories I will list. Well, most. When watching the video of them putting out the flag on the moon's surface, you can see the edges are pulled and released, giving a tiny bit of movement. Some say it was done purposely so we can always see the moving flag when we look at it on the moon. So that was an easy way to really discredit that theory. The second theory is that the astronauts had never really left the Van Allen belt, because if they would have, it would have killed them from all of the radiation. For some backstory, the Van Allen belt is created by Earth's magnetic field to protect us from the dangers of solar radiation. But unless one would stay there for several days at a time, no harm would really be done. It would be like getting an x-ray on you. You don't really want to stay under that x-ray for hours or days, but if you do it for a minute, you're fine. Third, the shadows on all of the photos are a bit off considering there's only one real light source, the sun. But this, again, is easily debunked. The sun was lighting up the landscape in a very hilly area, and the hills, just like everything else, can cause shadows. Things can be reflected. It is very easy to get multiple shadows from one light source. The fourth theory is that the film would have all been burned up from the intense heat of the sun. Of course, that would be the case if their film was just laying on the sun. But humans were protected, so the film was also protected. It was easily and heavily protected from the heat and any natural things that could have caused harm to the film. The fifth is more of a question of understanding how the moon's surface works. There are thoughts that you need a lot of moisture, more moisture than there is on the moon, to leave a solid footprint. But that is not the case, because the friction between all of the dust leaves a good footprint. You don't need that extra moisture. 6. With all of the tiny fast meteors in space, you would be punctured and killed pretty easily, right? True. Not true. Untrue. There's a multitude of tiny meteors, but space is much larger than you think. It is very unexpected where there would be enough to really hit you and kill you. That, and along, the astronauts had a layer of protection in their suits for space damage such as that. 7 does make people look into the theories a bit more. Why was there not a definite landing spot where the ship had landed, like a dust cloud where all the dust had moved and the ship had landed? Well, the moon itself is really dense. Of course there is dust on it, which you can see, but it is not pure dirt and dust, like a back road somewhere. You won't really see all of that afterwards. It's not really prominent. 8. There are no stars showing in the pictures that are taken. You think with all the clear skies on the moon, you can see all these different stars in the distance. But like you would take a normal picture on Earth, you take a picture, you don't really see the stars in the sky. It has to do with more of the photos themselves than anything else, because the closer objects are really bright and they wash out the other stars in the distance. 9, in the shots you can see what people call the sea rock. It's this little rock in the corner. It has like a little sea stamp or marking or weird texture to it. Most people think that it was just a stage prop that they put on there in the Hollywood staging department when they recorded Man on the Moon. But in reality, it was probably a glitch afterwards, or a hair that landed on the lens. Just probably problems with the development. And of course, number 10, this is one of the top conspiracies that really bothers people. People claimed that while in Hollywood, while they were filming the whole video of them landing on the moon, the astronauts were hung up by tiny strings on their back that made it look like they were bouncing and walking in that weak gravity. But of course, this is false. It can easily be proven by all the dust that was picked up by their feet on the moon while they were walking. So of course it may look like they were just using wires to bounce, like a really slowed down bouncy castle. It can be proven with all the dust and all the other real-time events that were happening in those videos. What's odd is that people themselves try to debunk this and build their own sets to prove that it was wrong, but they haven't really got there, of course. In conclusion, the space race was won by America, who clearly deserved the title. So much hard work and dedication, years and loss of life to ultimately bring the highest morale to America. Astronomy would be different in this way because of science, because of the way of the science, if we had never taken those advances. We were able to learn more about the moon and space in general, how and what it would take to bring man into space, to bring man into orbit, to bring man to the moon and far beyond. This allowed us to increase our understanding and knowledge to lead us to where we are in this day. There was such a compacted time, those 10 years, which we spent like almost every day really trying to advance ourselves as a nation, as a race, and we did that. Thank you for listening to my presentation.